Okay, we're going to talk about search warrants here. The reason what got me on this topic is, how long does the light even see me? There was an article about some cops are getting sued for getting a search warrant to do an anal search, and they had the hospital do this. I think it was a bogus. I read the complaint. So there's a lot of talk about search warrants, the government, power, what can they do, what they can't do. Hold the light here so it doesn't keep blinking. The thing about a search warrant is people think there's this mystery about a search warrant, and it's hard, and cops don't get them because they're so difficult or easy. 200 to 300, if not closer to 500 search warrants. I would write 2 or 3 search warrants in one day sometime. There's a mystery even among cops with the search warrant. And a search warrant is very simple. It's not that mysterious. The reason cops don't get it is it's an inconvenient or they don't know how to do it. It's a little bit of trouble. They've never done one. Nobody around has experience, so they normally don't do it. Working with the DA's office, we would get cases, and if you have a search warrant, it makes it easier to prosecute the case. Why? If I do something as a cop, and I search, arrest, do anything, I have to justify everything I did to a higher level than if I get a search warrant. Because when I get a search warrant, basically what I do is instead of just doing what I do and then justifying it later and have to justify it, when I get a search warrant, I basically write down why I want to do, why I think I should be able to do it. I have a judge read it, and the judge goes, yeah, okay, I think you're right. He signs off. As soon as the judge signs a warrant, now all the responsibility for me justifying what I did switches to the judge. It switches to the defense now. They have to fight the warrant. It's called quash. A lot of people say squash. I used to say squash too. Quash is some legal term to suppress or to remove. So they quash the warrant. They have to do a motion to quash that warrant, and it's a very high standard. Because when you're attacking the warrant, you're kind of attacking the judge. Because the judge reviewed the warrant and said it was okay. So you don't really make points by going in and telling the judge, hey, this judge didn't know what he was talking about. He's an idiot. He signed his warrant. He should have. That don't go over too well. Even if you're right, it don't go over well. So to get a warrant knocked down is very difficult. To confuse a jury and to blame the cop for everything that went around and make him justify it, have him slip up in a few words, that's very easy. So defense attorneys love it when cops don't get warrants. And most times cops don't get warrants. Prosecutors love it when cops get warrants because it makes their job so much easier, everything they did. Now where you can get in trouble with a warrant is if I lie, elaborate, exaggerate, add things that maybe I think is true. If I confuse the judge or they can prove that what I put in that warrant ain't true, it's very easy to get rid of the warrant. The problem is most defense attorneys don't ever attack the warrant because they know the odds of winning is 0 to none. So they go, why sweat it? If it's a warrant, we won't mess with it. We'll attack the case some other else. Which is what the prosecution wants, because the warrant usually gets you the evidence that they use against the guy. So what's a search warrant? The founders put in that no person, we should be secure in our homes and in ourselves, and we should be free from government intrusion unless government proves and has a judge or magistrate. A magistrate is the same as judge. If you hear the term magistrate, that means judge. If we have magistrate review that actually says, yes, I reviewed the government's case. Because remember, anytime the government does something to you, they're working against you. They're not trying to help you. When cops tell you, I'm reading your rights, and if you really want to help yourself, you should talk to me, that's a flat-out lie. People, well, cops can't lie. Cops can lie. It's case law. It's proven that we can lie. They've passed law that we can lie. Undercover cops lie all the time. If cops had to tell the truth, And there's some dummies out there with drugs that still think, they'll ask you, you're working undercover, hey man, is it true that if you're a cop you got to tell them? I go, yeah man, I've heard that too. They do have to tell you. They can't lie. Are you a cop? No, I'm not a cop. Oh, okay. And they buy it. So, you know, like I say, cops, we don't catch the smart ones. So there's a rumor out there that cops can't lie. That's BS. Cops lie all the time. Not only do we lie, most of the time we lie, and it's approved that we lie. 2 suspects to enhance our investigation. Not lie just for lying. Not lying to the court, not withholding evidence, not being changing things in a warrant. You cannot lie then. But when you're conducting an investigation and lying improves that investigation, or you're going after a criminal act and you're doing it in a purpose of investigation, you can lie. It's legal. So cops lie all the time. So people that tell you cops can't lie, they're full of crap. Alright. And yes, cops lie on the stand. You'll hear cops sometimes joke about when they have to go testify in court. They go, oh, I got to go test a lie. Sounds like testify. What they're really saying is test a lie to see if it flies or if it works. It's a play. A lot of cops use it. I don't think a lot of cops are out there lying on the stand. But to me, omission of the truth is a lie. If I don't tell you the truth, I'm lying. If you ask me a question, is it raining out? And I say that the moisture in the air was a little heavy and you might get a little wet, but I don't tell you whether it's not raining or is, then I'm lying. You need to be honest when you're asked questions. Now, prosecution will tell the cops, I don't want this coming out. You know, I don't want you saying this. I mean, I ought to be a witness for the defense on crooked prosecutors, because believe me, I've seen a lot of tricks, and there's a lot of them out there, and they work the courts, and it's very tough to catch them because cops don't want to lose your career and you don't want to go against prosecution. But prosecutors lie, and they try to get cops to lie all the time because they're not the one on the stand lying. If I can talk your dumb butt into getting on the stand and lying, and it helps my case, what do I care? If you get caught, I'll be like, man, you shouldn't have lied, you should have told the truth. But you told me you didn't want me to tell. No, I never said that. I always told you. That's why when prosecutions ask witnesses, when I met with you, isn't it true that I told you that I want you to tell the truth? And the witness always goes, yes, that's true. And the dummies on the jury go, oh, I guess we can believe this guy because, see, even he said the prosecution. You big dummy, the prosecution will get you to lie, manipulate you, get all kind of false information, and then right before they finish the interview, so they can ask you, they will ask you, now look, we've talked about strategy, they'll call it strategy, they'll call it all kind of things. We've talked about all this, but you realize when you get on that stand, I want you to tell the truth, wink, wink, and the person goes, yeah, okay, I got it. So now when I ask you when you're on the stand, didn't I tell you that when you got on the stand I want you to tell the truth? Yes, you did. But that doesn't cover all the other conversations you had. Those are prosecution tricks 101. Now, hopefully you got a defense attorney that can plug holes, ask you questions, kind of manipulate, ask around a question. But it's very, very common for the government to make their case better by telling cops to manipulate, withhold evidence, hide evidence. Don't divulge evidence. Don't volunteer evidence. Why do you think cops can't talk to the defense? I've always had a problem with this. As a cop, if I let somebody, the defense attorney cannot call me and talk to me. I can't talk to him. Why? Because the prosecution says don't talk to him. He'll manipulate your words, he'll ruin the case, he'll get you to say something, he'll twist your words. Don't you do it. You're on my team. I don't want you telling him something that I don't know. He don't need to be talking to you. He can talk to you on the stand where I can limit it and I can object. So cops are not allowed to talk to defense. You know what? Those who ain't got nothing to hide, hide nothing. I didn't give a shit if I talked to the defense. I ain't got nothing. The case is what it is. You know, I've taken a statement on a case where the prosecution would go, hey man, you gave me this statement and you put in here that she looked like she was on the influence of cocaine when you took the statement. This statement really helps me. Could you take out the part that she was on cocaine and just give me another statement without that? There's a lot of cops that would have went, sure, okay, I'm not lying, I'm just not volunteering. I told them not no, but hell no. I said she was on the influence and that's what it is and that's my report. And if you don't like it, don't use it. Don't try to get me to make your case better. That ain't my job. I think she was on influence. Now the reason why the prosecution wouldn't want that in the report is because now the defense can attack her credibility, can say she was on the influence, maybe she didn't know what she was saying, maybe she was confused. It makes the case weaker. You know what? I don't give a shit. I don't think any cop should give a shit. That ain't true. Most cops do give a shit. Most cops don't want to lose. They want to win. If you lose, the prosecution will bash you and give you names and say, this cop's a piece of shit. He don't know what he's doing. He talked to defense. He threw the case away. He's working for the other side. He's not a team player. You get these attacks from the prosecution because you're not playing their game to win their case. If a cop is doing his job, I ain't on anybody's side. I go out there, I take reports, I get the truth, it is what it is. If you don't like it, tough shit, don't use it, I don't want to hear it. Don't try to get me to do your bullshit lawyer, dirty behind the scene crap where you're trying to win and manipulate me, other witnesses, the system, the judge, everybody else so you can get your little ego win, because that's what lawyers are about. The more they can fight, the more they get paid, the more they can argue, the more they do. Lawyers are the lowest things on earth. I ain't got no use for them, and you know what? Tough luck. I've got some friends that are lawyers. I hate their profession. You know, they may be good guys, but when they get in the courtroom, I still think they're a lawyer. And lawyers like to win. And they'll win by manipulating words, meanings, insinuations, try to pull up your background, use anything they can to avoid the truth. When in fact, the goal should be the truth. And when I've tried to say that to attorneys, they go, well, you need to read what it says above the courtroom or in the book. It says this is a court of justice, not a court of truth. I'm like, you're killing me. So, back to search warrants. When you do a warrant, the cop has an obligation to tell the truth. He signs it under penalty of perjury. Now, perjury is one of those things, everybody goes, oh, well, it's something like perjury. That's a felony. You can't lie. Everybody freaking lies. Nobody cares because proving it's a lie is very difficult. Unless you admit it, there's 3 rules that people say that if people followed, the government would get no convictions in court. Admit nothing, deny everything, and demand proof. If everybody followed those 3 rules, we wouldn't get any prosecutions. Every case that I've got a conviction on, the suspect either denied, lied, or admitted. And I used that against him to catch him in a lie, to prove that he was lying, to prove that he wasn't truthful. I manipulated that statement he made somehow to use against him. I'll put a link in this video. I put another video where an attorney talks about why you shouldn't talk to the cops. And people go, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, you should talk to cops. Man, I'm telling you, talking to the government does nothing but give them information to use against you. And they may not use it. I remember this one case working, this little teenage girl, cute little thing, probably 17 years old, hardcore violent. Stabbed people, had beat people up, had been in robberies, just a hard life for a kid. Well, she could help us because she had information on a guy that we wanted for a gang shooting or something, and she was our witness. So what we did is we used her. We put her in witness protection. I worked a witness protection team, so we had to guard her. We set her up in a hotel. We hid her in another city. We stayed with her 24 hours. Had a couple cops stay with her. We put her in witness protection because we knew this gang was bad and they wanted us to go off, and they found her. They probably killed her. They killed her. Our case would go to shit. So it was in our best interest to protect her. Well, I happen to think it was the right thing because she was trying to do good. Well, this is why I hate government, and people go, man, you worked in the government, you should know. Man, I'm telling you, the government uses people. This poor kid, we hid her, we fed her, we treated her with anything she wanted, we gave her all this shit, making her think that we were her friend and we were going to care about her. And as soon as she testified, where do you want to go? We'll give you a bus ticket wherever you want to go, you're on your own. And we cut this kid out on the street, she was on her own. And it just bugged the hell out of me that we used her. She got there, and it was sad because when she testified, she wanted me to stand next to her because we had developed a little bond. So I stood next to her, kind of give her strength, and she had a little stuffed animal. She's 17, she stabbed and beat people up, but she was so scared on the stand, she wanted a little stuffed animal that she actually held when she testified. And she was genuinely a fear of her safety. And when we cut her loose, I felt like a heel because it was like, we just used this kid for her testimony and then throw her out to the wolves. And now, the theory behind the government is once you testify, the motivation to kill you is less. They really want to kill you before you testify because if they kill you before, then they could probably get off. But once you testify, you're a lower value target to them, and revenge isn't as important as stopping you from putting them in jail. Because they're already in jail, and now if the person's in jail, the gang may not feel loyalty, and they don't care. So you're probably going to be okay. And the statistics kind of show there's not as many attacks against witnesses after they testify as before they testify, because it's a weighing game. So the government doesn't care about, I don't even know where I was going, where I got on that subject, but search warrants. When you lie and do search warrants, it's my job in a search warrant to convince the judge that I have probable cause. Probable cause is a reasonable belief that a crime's been committed and that the person I'm looking at either has committed the crime, assisted in the crime, or has evidence of that crime. It's a very, very low standard. People think a search warrant, oh, he got a search warrant. They must have a good case. I can get a search warrant for just about anything. It's very, very simple. When I do a search warrant, I don't even have to say, I know there's evidence in that room. I don't even have to say, I'm pretty sure there's evidence in that room. All I have to do is there's a fair probability that there may be evidence there. That's my standard for a search warrant. Fair probability, very low. It's nowhere near what people think when they hear, oh, they got a search warrant. Search warrant, basically a search warrant is my report on what I believe and what I see and what I know and what I can tell the judge and what I'm going to use on why I think that there was a crime committed, why that person committed, and why they think there's evidence there. The judge looks at it and goes, yep, sounds pretty good, and he signs it. I've brought warrants to judges where they didn't even read it. And I'd be like, you know, I kind of put some things in there that you might want to read because it may come back. Because I knew it was touchy. Now, I brought warrants that I knew were good and that I believed in. I think I should have got a warrant. I know other cops that would write anything and take it to certain judges because they know those judges didn't care, they didn't read it, and they just signed it. There was plenty of judges that signed warrants and never read it. There were some judges that didn't read it, but they initialed each page. And when I asked him, he was going through initial each page and he wasn't reading it. I went, Judge, why are you initialing each page? He goes, well, if the defense asks if I read it, I can show that I was on each page. Freaking lawyers. Don't forget, judges are lawyers. So, a search warrant is not that big of a deal. Judges get used to working. I mean, I used to get warrants from a judge that I would go at lunch, play racquetball. We had community showers. We'd be naked taking a shower together after we played racquetball, and 2 hours later, I'd be in his office asking him to sign a search warrant. We had a reputation. We had a friendship. We developed a camaraderie that he trusted me. But that trust was something that we both, I wouldn't give him something that he shouldn't sign. He knew I wouldn't do that. So if he didn't read some of my warrants, I understood that there was that bond. But when I take it to, there was one judge in Sacramento, I think it was Ramsey or Ramey. Man, I love this guy because he didn't play around. He read every stinking word in that warrant, and if it wasn't good, he'd make you go back. I've never had a warrant kicked back except from him because when he read a warrant, he read it like he was supposed to. He did not take his job nonchalantly. He didn't take it BS. When you brought him a warrant, it better be a damn good warrant or you ain't getting it. And I like that because I know when I did a warrant, it was a good warrant. And I usually got, and when he kicked it back, it was something minor. He goes, you know what? I think he wanted to see, can you give me a confirmation on this guy that you got this information on where he lives? Is he on probation? It was something very minor, but he just wanted that one more step to go, I want to ask this question because I don't want to have to explain later why I didn't ask this question. And he kicked that warrant back. I went and got the information, added it, and brought it back to him, and it was good to go. Now, some cops will do what's called judge shopping. If I call and I want to get a warrant, I'll ask for a specific judge because I know this judge is easy, this judge likes me, this judge is my racquetball buddy, this judge, I stopped his wife for speeding, gave her a break, so I know he owes me. So there'll be this judge shopping, so I won't go to any judge, I'll go to my favorite judge. Now most counties have gotten wise to that, and the courts have gotten wise to it, and they kind of went, hey, we have an on-call judge, you get the pick of the draw. But the prosecution knows who the list is, and they'll tell you to wait. Yo, man, if we wait till midnight, the new judge comes on, I'd rather ask him for the warrant than this one. So don't ask for this warrant for 2 hours. Is that lying? I think it's BS. I think you're manipulating the system. A warrant should fly to any judge if your facts are good, but it's not. And government always has rules, and that's why when people want to tell me about how great government is and how it's fair and how this and oh, we have a system. Look, people, I've seen it from the inside out. Government is a wreck. It's filled with corrupt and dishonest people. It's filled with a lot of good people, but the system is a system, and when it gets big and you're unaccountable, it gets warped. And the system is warped. It's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect, but it's really hard to stand up against the system because you can't fight City Hall, and when they come down on you, come down on your yard. So, let me check my time on search warrants here. I don't know if I really got into how a warrant goes and what exactly it is Alright, I'm at 20 minutes here, so I can get about 2 more minutes in. Alright, let me try to get the search warrant here on what a search warrant is. Basically, if I want to get a search warrant for my house right now, and I think that in this house I have drugs. So how do I convince a judge that I think there's drugs in this house? There's a multitude of things that I could get, but let's say I know, one, we sent an undercover officer to the door and he bought dope. Okay, that's pretty good. That will probably get us in the house, that one fact alone. Let's say we don't have that. Let's say we have the neighbors that think he's growing something, or they smell a funny smell come from the house, or the neighbor sees a lot of traffic coming in and out. Okay, if they see a lot of traffic coming out, is that enough to get it? No. But that's a fact that I'm going to use to justify why I want to get in this house later. So now I may stake out the place. And I look at these people coming in and out. And I may run their license plates on who's coming in and out. And look at their frequency. I may follow them and see where they go. I may follow them, have a cop do a traffic stop on them and find them with dope. And then ask them, where'd you get it? And they say, this house. Now I have enough to get in this house. So you have to just give a certain amount of steps on what I need, why I want this house. I write down why I think there's drugs in that house. I go to a judge and the judge goes, okay. Now there's a step, I don't know if they do it in Texas, I think they do it in most states. It's called, you need to have the prosecutor's review of the warrant. The prosecutor, you have 3 main people in a prosecution. You have the defense, the prosecutor, and the judge. Prosecution and defense are supposed to be just, they're called officers of the court. They both are officers of the court. That's when the systems get kind of skewed because they become buddies and they're all in the same thing. When you see 2 lawyers outside fighting like they hate each other, when you go in the back room with the judge and you're discussing things off the record or you're discussing things not in the presence of the jury, they're joking and smoking and laughing and planning to go out and party together. But when you get out in the public, you see all this professional, you don't do that, no, I'm not going to have that in my court. In the meantime, in the back room, it's all the good old boy. So most people aren't exposed to that type of thing. You think the court is this big professional division of power and everybody has a role. It's a good old boy. They're all in the same boat, okay? Nobody wants to sink the boat, because if you're in a boat, nobody wants to sink it, so you're all got the same goal of keeping the boat afloat. That's where the system gets corrupt. So, you have the defense, the prosecution, and the court. Both these guys work for the court, so to speak. They're officers of the court. They're not supposed to lie to the court, they're not supposed to manipulate the court, and they're supposed to be honest with the court. Well, that ain't always true either. So, in this procedure to get a warrant, the prosecution, who is the government, people think the judge is the government, and he is. He works for the government. He's part of the government. See, in places like Britain, these two switch. Your prosecution may be a prosecutor for 2 months, then he has to become a defense attorney for 2 months. The defense attorney will be a defense attorney for 2 months, and then he has to switch and become a prosecutor. I like that system. Why do I like it? Because they see it from both sides. They don't have this dug-in camaraderie. The way our system is, you're either a prosecutor or defense. You're on separate sides of the fence. You're enemies. You're sworn enemies. You're always fighting each other. There's no camaraderie. My job is to beat you. My job is to beat you. My job is to make you look bad. My job is to make you look bad. And the people in the middle are the witnesses, the cops, and the citizens who get abused by these two people fighting for who's right and who's better. And when you get in these systems and you live in these systems all the time, it's very hard to take that hat off or to become neutral or become fair to where you understand the other side and you don't lose track of the big goal. The big goal is to administer justice fairly without prejudice. That's not the case. The prosecution's prejudice, they're damn well prejudiced against the person they're trying to prosecute. The defense is prejudiced because they're trying to protect the guy that the government's coming after. So, you know, the system in a whole has a lot of flaws and it doesn't work real well. And unless you know all the ins and outs, you're not going to be able to fight it real well. You're not going to be able to survive in it very well. And you're going to think something's one way and it's not that way at all. And you think it's a light at the end of the tunnel and pretty soon you figure out it's a train and it's too late. So, let me get on to part 2 because I don't want to go over 30 minutes here. So let me make part 2 and continue on search warrants in the courts and how that works. We'll end that there. Search warrants 1.